I came across a metaphor of life from Pastor Rick Warren saying our existence is like a game of poker. A poker hand consists of 5 cards, and for those who play the game, they know the highs and lows of the game. Existence deals us cards. You only find out what those cards are when you get them. For some of you, the cards are pretty damn good, and for the others, they could be awful. Yet, the only conscious or unconscious choice you have is to play this game of your existence. Welcome to Raw, Real Absolute Wisdom. My name is Rohit Bassi, your host for the show. Raw is about passing through your fears, celebrating your failures, and creating and developing that wonderful life that you define as success. The movie Star Wars has this amazing character called Master Yoda. Now, if you were to have a Master Yoda in your life, wouldn't that be awesome? In my lifetime, I have come across certain characters who display the personality of Master Yoda. And today, we meet the young Master Yoda. He talks about ice cream, he talks about chocolate, he talks about cheese. And that is extremely strange, but when you listen to him, it makes perfect sense how important all of these things are in your life. Today, we welcome Rahul Shah. Rahul Shah is a communication subject expert, professional speaker, and a highly sought after corporate trainer who has impacted over 60,000 face-to-face participants around Asia Pacific. He serves multinational corporations and civil service organizations as well as various community platforms. I have personally been involved with one of his platforms, which is a global movement, and it is called Up Your Game Community. We welcome Rahul to Raw, Real, Absolute Wisdom. Now, for the record, for our viewers, for our listeners, what is your full name?
My full name, Rahul Kumar Janak Shah.
Okay,
I never knew that.
I never knew that. That was just Rahul Shah. That's a surprise to me.
That's the full name, but yes, it's Rahul Shah for short.
Okay, now, where does this originate from?
What originate?
The name, the full name.
My parents' gift. Thank them for that. So Rahul Kumar is my given name.
Yep.
Janak is my dad's name, and
Okay.
Shah is the family name.
Okay.
We are basically, my ancestry is from Gujarat in India. So that's Western India.
Okay.
So my grandfather came to Singapore in 1949.
1949, okay.
Yes, my dad was born here. I was born and brought up here. So for those of you who always wondered what's my ethnicity, what's my nationality, I'm a Singaporean, thoroughbred Indian by ethnicity, but yes.
Okay, it's very interesting. I see about Singaporeans is doesn't matter if your origins are Indian or doesn't matter if your origins were Malaysian. You always say, very proudly, all of you say, we are Singaporeans. How come that's so instilled in all of you?
I think the education system plays a part. I mean, from the time that you're young, the national education programs, you have spent a lot of your life here. We have a very unique culture. There's nothing that's distinctly Singaporean. So if you say what is a Singaporean culture, there's nothing Singaporean about it, but it's really it's a melting pot of so many different flavors and languages and cultures and so much of diversity that it becomes a unique identity of its own. So you can be an Indian ethnic person that grew up in Singapore, and you find yourself having a strong affinity towards enjoying Chinese cuisine, for example,
Okay.
or your midnight suppers are gonna be more towards Malaysian cuisine, for example, and all of that grows into you, onto you, and it becomes so much a part of you that you cannot just say I'm just Indian, because after a while there's so much more to you than just being an Indian. So you become Singaporean, and if you're a male and you have served your 2.5 years, 2 years of national service, poured blood, sweat, energy, tears, going through it just to defend your country and your nation and your people, I think after a while you kind of say that, hey, I paid the price for this, so I might as well identify with it.
So it's a melting pot of fusion, basically.
It's a fusion.
All different cultures.
Yeah.
Talking about fusion, your wife herself,
Yes.
she speaks Mandarin, is it?
She speaks Mandarin, yes.
And she's not Chinese.
No, she's Punjabi.
She's Punjabi.
Yes.
And you're Gujarati, so that's
Yeah.
another fusion
Yeah.
up there.
I learned Malay in school.
Okay.
Yeah, so I learned Malay in school. I'm a Gujarati. My wife is a Punjabi. She studied higher Mandarin.
Okay.
So yes, we have a very mixed kind of background.
So let's look at what you do at the moment. What are you doing? What do you do? What is your profession?
For bread and butter, I'm a communications trainer and speaker.
Okay.
So I help people in the civil service, organizations, multinational corporations or VWs to improve their communication skill sets, whether it be for sales, for negotiation, for presentations, public speaking, leadership, influence, persuasion, the whole works. So that's what I do as my main bread and butter. That's where the revenue comes. In fact, I do a bit of consulting here and there to help small businesses to scale and grow as well.
Okay.
Again, from a communications perspective. So
Okay.
I am a communications specialist. I spend a lot of my time, however, also doing community work, whether it be volunteering or through a platform I started in November 2015 called Up Your Game, where we are on a mission to introduce a barrier-free, cost-free, easily accessible, bite-sized, simplified access to personal development around the region, around the world. We basically want to tell people that to grow yourselves, to embark on a personal development, personal growth journey, it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be full of frills and fluff. There doesn't have to be a lot of upselling involved.
Yep.
It can be very simple. It can be through conversations like you and I are having.
Yes.
Very raw, very simple, and it can happen anywhere, in any place, at any time. It doesn't have to have branding, logos, standees, banners, fancy backdrops, LED screens. You don't have to have mega stages, but it can be done in a very organic, grounds up manner. And it can be within anybody's reach. But and that's what we're trying to encourage people. We're trying to get as many people as we can onto their personal growth and personal development journeys. Because after a while, once people leave school, we find that the learning stops or the self-development stops. And if someone is lucky enough to have to be working in an organization that has got large training budgets, then that's great because they get opportunities through that. But there are a lot of people who don't have that kind of a privilege, and they have usually found a lot of blockages in wanting to upgrade themselves because you see a lot of seminars and workshops and all of that out there, and they cost thousands of dollars, and many people can't afford that. And I'm not saying that those seminars and conferences and workshops should not be there. They do serve a real need. We're just saying that we become the front door. At Up Your Game, we become the front door where people can get the first foot in, and hopefully they feel inspired or curious or intrigued enough to want to continue the journey after that. Not with us, because we don't upsell anything, but they can find their own means and channels and pathways, and we're happy to guide them towards those as well. Yeah.
So you got Up Your Game. You, as your bread and butter, you've got being a communist communication specialist. So you got two things happening of it. Now, before going a bit more deeper into some of this, is this what you really wanted to do when you got out, or when you were young, when you were a child? What did you want to do?
I wanted to become a firefighter because I thought that was fun.
Wow! How old were you when you thought about that?
6.
And how long did that go on till?
Then I wanted to become a policeman after that, and then I wanted to become a skateboarder after that. I never knew I was riding a skateboard well, so it was something different every 6 months. There's nothing that I really wanted to be, but of course, in my teenage years, there was a period of time where I wanted to become a lawyer.
So you want to be a lawyer?
Yeah, I wanted to become a lawyer, and the reason why I wanted to study law was because I wanted to get away from mathematics.
So similar issue as me. Get away from mathematics. Let me find something else.
Yeah, so I wanted to run far away from mathematics.
So how come law came into it?
Because I had this assumption that if you go study law, you don't have to study math because what do lawyers?
It just came from somewhere.
It came from somewhere. I don't know what inspired that idea, but yeah, I just always thought that lawyers only talk. You don't need to do mathematics. I'm to all my lawyer friends out there. I was 13, 14 at that time, so please pardon me. Not quite sure whether that's the case, but at that age, that's what I thought. I didn't want to do math, so I'll probably become a lawyer. So that was the idea. Well, somehow or another, if I wanted to study law, I would have had to wait up to the age of 18 because I didn't get grades that were good enough to get into the mainstream polytechnics. So on the private education route, I had to wait till I was 18 years old.
Okay.
At 18, I have to enlist into national service, so I had to wait until I was 20 to do a diploma. So that would have put my education on hold for quite a bit. So I went for the next best option, was to study communications.
You still get to talk.
I still get to talk. But no, I never really guessed, figured that I would be on this journey, because if anybody knew me when I was 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, even 15 years old, they would not have imagined that I would be speaking for a living. Because I was this very timid, shy, introverted boy who could not even speak to two people for a group discussion.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I used to just be very shy and timid. Teachers would be scolding me for something I've not done. I did not have the courage to speak up and say I did not do this. So I'll just accept the scolding and go home and complain to my parents. I got scolded for something I didn't do, but I wouldn't tell the teacher that. So that's how bad it was. But a changing point came somewhere along the lines in my secondary school when I was about 14, 15. I had a teacher who pushed me into joining the Students' Council, joining the Drama and Debate Society. And through those opportunities, I think I found myself speaking a whole lot more, being sent for trainings, courses, picked up the skills, kind of realized that I have a knack for it. Started representing the school in debate competitions, public speaking competitions. I became president of my council, president of my school's Drama and Debate Society. So through all of that, I think it helped in the development of my speaking skills, and at the same time my confidence, my self-esteem, and I became a lot more willing to step up to the stage whenever the opportunity arose to speak. So that's where the foundation was really set. Professionally speaking, I went to work for 3 months.
So this was after getting out of your university?
After getting out of national service.
National service.
I mean, before that, I've done a lot of work. I mean, at the age of 9, I used to go around selling tissue paper to earn a bit of pocket money.
I hope it was fresh tissue paper.
Yes, fresh tissue paper. It's quite. So I did my first fundraising. My first capital raising at the age of 9. Yeah, I went to my friends in the neighborhood and said I had this grand business plan where we're going to buy tissue papers in bulk, so it's cheaper, and we're going to go door to door and sell them at a profit. I say, if you invest in this, because I need the initial capital, buy that bulk tissue paper. If all of you can give me $1 each, I'll return you $1.20.
Okay.
Yeah. So the kids started giving me $1 each, and I say, if you join me in the selling, I'll even give you a higher cut. So suddenly there were like 8 of us going around. Selling tissue paper, bringing it back, and then dividing up the money, and we all made profits. And we used to buy ice creams and chocolates that our parents never gave us the money for.
So this was at the age of 9. Now you come from a Gujarati community, and the Gujarati community is meant to know. What my understanding is, what I've seen is they're very business oriented. So you think it was naturally for you?
It might have been. I don't know. I never thought about it that way at that age. It was more of I wanted ice cream and chocolate. I did it somehow to get this. So it was born out of a necessity at that point in time. So yes, I think it might have a bit to do with the background, but
But the focus was very clear: chocolate, ice cream.
Chocolates and ice cream.
That was it. And
that was
this is my journey to get to that.
Yeah. So that was it. So along the way after that, after graduating from secondary school at 16, my first job, my first real actual paid job, was as a warehouse packer, earning $5 an hour. So I used to be the guy folding the clothes, putting them into plastic bags, dipping them nicely, putting a price tag on it, packing into cartons. Then the driver takes them off to the retail stores, where you find them nicely and fancifully displayed on beautiful shelves. But I was the guy behind that who was doing all the ironing and clothing, getting paid $5 an hour. So that was my first job, and I went into doing sales at Robinsons, and I was doing advertising sales, and I was doing direct marketing for a while. So I did a whole work of thing before I go into national service. I did my studies at the same time. My first professional job in marketing came after national service. I was doing marketing for 2 companies at the same time, and that was fun. I learned a lot. I did that for 3 months, and then a friend offered and said, hey, I'm starting a business.
Okay.
Would you like to join me on that? I said, sounds fun. What kind of business is it? He said, oh, we're going to become management consultants.
Okay.
I was 21 years old. I had never run my own business prior to that. But it sounded really sexy. So I said, hey, let's do this. So 21 years old, I became a management consultant, apparently. Every door that we knocked on was, no, I don't think so. Right? You're too young, you have no experience. I still remember this guy that we went to. He was the MD of his company. And, big pouch and bald-headed, very stereotypical. He just sat across the door and said, you're here to teach me how to run my business. I'm like, yes, we are here to propose to you some ideas that will help you to scale up your business to the next level. He said, I've been running this firm for the past 20, 30 years, and it's a hand-down from 3 other generations in my family. So I think we know what we are doing. But what kind of ideas do you intend to propose to us? I said, well, if you are able to sign on the dotted line, we'll be able to share those ideas with you. And he looked at me and said, why don't you come back after a few more years when you've got some form of experience? So that was really a hard rejection. But we kept pitching. The one thing about the time is we didn't have social media.
Yep.
We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have LinkedIn. We didn't have all these easy ways of connecting to people. So the only way you can reach out to businesses was you go out there, you walk into buildings, you start knocking on doors, and you do cold knocks, right? And you secure appointments that way. You talk to people, you do face-to-face pitching. And we just kept doing it. And we didn't do a lot of management consulting work, obviously.
So what did you end up doing?
So for the first 6 months, we had zero business until we landed this first deal with a restaurant. No, for a spa company. They used to do spa home systems.
Okay.
And we walked into them and said, hey, let us help you. And I said, well, I don't need a management consultant, but I do need someone who can help me with marketing because we are a new setup. You guys seem like you are energetic, dynamic. You have got great ideas. Would you like to handle our marketing for us? He said, we'll be happy to. So we got onto the job, we redid all their materials, their collaterals, their branding. We created new marketing channels for them, identified new segments for them, and distribution networks to distribute all those collaterals that we had planned out for them. So we did that for 6 months. Results were great. It saw an increase in sales at the end of it. It was completely commission based because he didn't want to take the gamble with us.
Yeah.
But he said that for every sale that comes in during this period, that's through your materials, your outreach, I'll give you an X amount of commission.
Beautiful.
And that kind of worked out. And then he introduced us to another friend who owned a restaurant, and we were able to redo the same thing with him. So we introduced in-restaurant touch points for customers that came in. We recreated an experience that was more in line with the cuisine that they were selling. So we created a lot more of experiential customer service for his restaurant. So we redesigned the whole thing. We created lucky draws to collect data. This was way before people started talking about data collation and big data, small data, mega data.
Wow.
So we was like, we need to collect this data so we can keep reaching out to them with offers and promotions. Instead of doing that, they saw a lot more repeat business after that. His dad owned a resort in Bali. So that was our next client where we got to market that resort in Bali, and I was marketing a resort without having stepped foot into it. I've still not been to Bali, by the way. So,
and you haven't taken the wife to Bali yet?
We have not taken the wife to Bali yet. She's not watching this video. But we were selling packages for the resort in Bali. That was about the time when the Bali bombings had happened and occupancy levels were down. So he was willing to take a gamble with us because his occupancy was about 20% at that point in time. So anything else that comes in was going to be a bonus anyways. And we got lucky because we found cell groups church cell groups that wanted to go for overseas retreats. And when one group went, they loved it. They came back. They kept referring more groups. And so for that 6 months, we were able to supply a good steady stream of customers for their villas. So that worked off. He introduced us to their bankers, and their banker was Maybank. So we went in to pitch to Maybank. And obviously, they know what the answer would be. You guys are too young, I don't think so. Right? You guys are doing great work, but not for a bank. I think so. He was very direct. The guy at the bank was very, very direct to say, "I'm sorry, I don't think we can work with you." But I think he felt bad after that. So he kind of called me up the next day and said, "Hey, you know what? Well, I can't give you what you guys walked in for. I do intend to do a small team building activity." I said, "By now, pitch team building. What makes you think we can do team building for you?" He said, "Well, you guys seem like an energetic bunch of guys. You're creative. So think about it. If you think you can pull something off." The last time I had done anything to do with team building was when I was in secondary school for my student council. So I'd never done a corporate team building before, but we got creative, sat down, we brainstormed a bit, and we said, "Hey, why not bring people up for a kayaking experience.
Okay.
So we went to this kayaking company and said, hey, could you design a package for us?
Yeah.
They gave us a good rate. We just marked up on it. We sold it to a bank.
Oh wow.
And you know, basically we handled the debriefing, we handled the briefing, the orientation. The kayaking company guys handled the technical aspect of the kayaking stuff. So safety and all of that was taken care of. So it's not that we were going in blind. But
you're still here.
yeah, I'm still here. But it was a great experience. I think they loved what they did, and they referred us to their clients after, and that's how the training part started. So it's complete through word of mouth. So I eventually became a trainer and then became a speaker, but the starting was really by accident. So it was never intended, because I always said, hey, I was a shy, timid boy. I don't think I could ever do that professionally. I mean, I was great in school at competitions, but that's one thing. But professionally to do it is something else. But it just came my way. So I was lucky in that sense, that I was on a certain journey, but you know, at some junction the paths crossed, and I decided to go with it. You know, so I think that was probably one of my earliest lessons in business. That be adaptable, be open to new opportunities, don't be close to it, and you know, there are winds that will blow in certain directions. See whether you know the directions in which they are blowing is something that looks like it brings great possibilities to you. If it does, then let yourself sail along with it, because you never know where it brings you to.
Now, I've seen you in action.
Yeah.
I've seen you on the stage as a speaker. I've seen you as an MC as well.
Yeah.
And one of the things which I always find amazing about you is your humor.
Okay.
Where do you get your humor? Because I certainly am in stitches. I see people around me, they're in stitches, and it just comes naturally.
Yeah.
Where do you get the humor from? Because being a timid person, yes, you did school debates and all that. I would say that comes into more of the serious arena. Then you're doing marketing, then you're working with all these big clients. But where does all that humor come from?
Yeah, I think I've always been an observer of life, right? So I'm a very observational person, right? So if I'm a new environment, new setting with new people, I don't talk a lot, I don't speak a lot. I have a tendency to just watch more than I speak.
Okay.
So that gives me a lot of time to observe. So if you notice, a lot of things that I share that people usually laugh about are life stories or instances that are around us.
Yes.
You know, that I just pick up and I just put them on stage and amplify them. And people get tickled by it because it's something that they resonate with. It's around them too. So that's my brand of humor, I guess. You know, it's not like I try to be funny, but sometimes I just say things that people get tickled by because they can resonate with it. So that's where I get it. I observe, I pick up, and I guess I just live a very tragic life. So as Charlie Chaplin says, you know, the greatest comedy in life comes from tragedies. So I live a very tragic life. There are a lot of tragedies happening all around me. I don't know how I find myself in those situations, but there's always something happening around me. You know, so it's just hilarious.
So you have a philosophy about the life of cheese.
Yeah.
What is this all about? Because I know because of that, a number of people call you the big cheese as well.
Oh yeah.
So what is this whole thing about life of cheese?
I spent 10 years from the age of 21 to 30. Spent 10 years in a rat race, a typical rat race that most people would, working 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, chasing contracts after contracts, deals after deals, thinking where the next client is going to come from, thinking where the next big money is going to come from, thinking what other ventures I can get into, what kind of business I can get into. I mean, at 10 years, if you think about it, I have besides the consulting and speaking side of the business, I started magazines, I started tuition centers, I started an incubator, we did 25 startups. So I actually even imported slimming patches from Poland and we were distributing them in Singapore.
Sorry, slimming patches?
Slimming patches. So it's the 1 cm by 1 cm patch that you just paste on your forearm and you lose weight by doing so.
Did it work?
No, well, the aunties in the heartland said they worked. So
okay.
I am assuming they did, but I'm not sure. I didn't try that myself. So I did a lot of things in those 10 years. It was a very rewarding, very fulfilling 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, professionally in terms of business.
Yeah.
You know, it was almost it was a Midas touch. There's nothing that I did that has ever lost money. So it was making money. I was doing events at one point in time. I was doing the biggest events in Singapore. Sorry, not in Singapore. But the communities that we are serving.
Yeah.
You know, so we were doing the beach. I was the first to introduce color parties by the beach side.
Yep.
You know, nobody used to do that before that. So when I started doing it, it grew from 600 people to 3,000 people at Rahuls Sentosa. You know, we were doing cultural nights where we took neighborhood cultural nights. Used to go about 500, 600 people. I started organizing them. They started reaching a peak of 1,800 people.
Okay.
So everything that I touched somehow grew, somehow became successful, somehow made money. So it was like a drug. You get a high from it because you're this adrenaline, you're this momentum, and you're doing so well. You just keep chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing, and morning, day, afternoon, night, you're just thinking about the same thing. Where am I going to make my next money? What's my next venture going to be? What's my next business going to be? And you're on this accelerated growth phase. And suddenly you just hit this point where you say, what next?
Okay.
This is not fun anymore. This is not challenging anymore. It's mundane. It's mechanical. Because I know exactly what I need to do. It's a system. I know that I need to publish an event. I need to follow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. I'll reach this many number of people, or this percentage is going to convert into actual ticket buyers. And this is what I need to do at the event. Logistically, you got a template, so everything is ready. It's all planned out. So there's no challenge anymore suddenly. You just ask yourself, so what exactly am I looking for? I'm successful, but I've lost out on so much else. I didn't have many personal friends. I didn't have quite a social life. I was I didn't realize that my parents were growing older and aging. It just hit me one fine day when I was walking to the bus stop with my dad. And this is a man who used to take strong, quick strides. I used to walk so fast that people had a hard time catching up with him. And today he was walking 20 feet behind me, 30 feet behind me. And I'm like, why is that happening? That's when you realize that, it's age. They're growing older. They've got medical problems now. They're slowing down. My grandmother had passed on. She was the closest person to me. And I still remember this very clearly. The day she passed on. I said this in a couple of other interviews too. I was waking up in the morning. I went to check on her. Called the doctor. He came up. He certified her death. I went to the police station to get the paperwork done. Went to the crematorium, booked the crematorium hall, came back home. There was 4 or 5 hours in between before she was supposed to leave the house for her final journey. And I instead of being there with my family at that moment in time, I actually changed into my suit and I headed out for a work meeting. And I came back home just in time to see her off. So even at an occasion like that, it was work and career that was still at the top. And this was the person who was the dearest and the closest to me. And I was not able to even have that moment, to grieve, to mourn. I didn't give myself that. I didn't give myself an opportunity to be there with my parents, with my family, to stand with them. So that kind of hit me really hard, But this was a few years after that, when I look back and say, I've lost out on so much. And what am I doing all this for? Because I know I can make money. I know I can make as much money as I want. I know how to create that for myself. But how much do I need? When is enough going to be enough? And I think that was at the age of 30, and that's when I realized that we are in this constant rat race. We're just chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing, but we do not know after what. We're just on this constant chase, but we do not know what we are chasing. Or there's no end to that. It's like a race that never ends. There's no finishing line. And I hear a lot of people at that point in time saying that, hey, you want to beat the rat race, you got to quit the rat race. But if you look at rat race as a representation of life, then to quit the rat race means to quit life. So you don't want to quit life, you don't want to quit living, right? You still want to live the life, but what you want to do is you want to shift the roles, right? You instead of being someone who's persistently seeking something, if you can become someone that's sought after. Right?
People seek you, basically.
People seek you. You start drawing the right people to you. You don't want everybody. You don't want to draw everyone to you. You want to draw the right people, the right values, the right energies to you, who are going to be aligned with what your life purpose and life goal is, and that gives you a whole lot new meaning in the way you're approaching and living life. So that your life becomes so much more meaningful, so much more fulfilling, because there's a lot more to life than just that senseless chase. So I was asking myself, so what is it that rats chase after? I said a lot of times they chase after cheese, right? Which is why Life of Cheese came about. If you think about it, cheese might look like it's stagnant. It's still, it's in one place. But it's growing, it's evolving, it's becoming richer every second it's sitting there. So it's actually not stagnant. It's growing. It looks stagnant, but it's still growing. It's learning. It's enriching itself. right? And people come after it because the flavor becomes so much better, so much more enhanced as time goes on.
Yes.
So we should all seek to be that person where we learn how to grow ourselves, develop ourselves, nurture ourselves, and be at peace at the same time. So at peace that people think that we are still, but actually we are constantly enhancing our flavor and our fragrance through which we can bring so much more to the world around us. So that's what life of cheese is about. Yeah. Or the concept, yeah.
Life of cheese, to put it simply, is you're that cheese which is maturing with time, getting that flavor.
Yeah.
Obviously, the cheese has to be in the right environment, otherwise it catches mold.
Yeah.
You usually talk about, when I've seen your videos and when we've had the discussions, you've said there's 3 P's associated to this. What are those 3 P's for our
The 3
listeners?
key pillars in living a life of cheese boils down to purpose or perspectives, priorities, and people.
Okay.
Right? If we're able to shift our perspectives, the way we look at things, the way we approach things, that helps us to define our life the way that appeals to us, that means something to us. A lot of times how we perceive things is based on how society teaches us to
Social
perceive
media
something.
being one of those big
Social
things.
media being one of those people, influencers being another group of
Yep.
people. There's a lot of people out there who shape and condition our perceptions.
Yes.
And a lot of times these are perceptions that we follow, we adhere to, because we are told that, well, if other people see it that way, or majority of society sees it that way, then that has to be the only way.
Yep.
Internally we may be conflicted with it, but we still use it as a benchmark.
Absolutely.
Because that's what most commonly acceptable. I think success would be one of those things, right? Where a lot of times the standard benchmark for success would be how expensive a car are you driving, how big a home are you living in, what brand of clothes are you wearing, how expensive is the watch on your hands.
Yeah.
So society has a way of telling us at what level of success you are based on all these things. If you are staying on the 6th Avenue, you're a whole lot more successful than somebody staying in a Heartland 4-room, 3-bedroom, 1-hall apartment.
Yeah.
Right? So we might feel conflicted with that because we may not be somebody who is naturally inclined towards chasing material wealth. Intrinsically, we might be somebody who would prefer to spend more time focusing on building and harnessing a beautiful, loving family.
Yes.
All right? But because society tells us something else, we feel the pressure to go and pursue that. But that's conflicting with what our inner desires, our inner wants, our inner values are telling us. And that gets us to set all our priorities wrong. And we find ourselves never happy. Because although we may be in pursuit of that material wealth, we might be accomplishing a lot, we're not fulfilling ourselves because there's a vacuum. There's a huge vacuum still there. There's this internal intrinsic desire that where we still yearn and seek for something else, which we are compromising, right, on because of all these other things. Because we all got finite amount of time in our day. We got 24 hours a day, out of which you have to sleep for 8 hours a day, hopefully. Right? I know some people don't sleep for 8 hours a day, but that takes a toll on your health. So 8 hours are gone towards that. You need to take 2 meals a day, so about 2 hours are gone with that. So you got 10 hours are gone, you got left with what, another 14 hours. 14 hours, you got travel times up and down. Take out another 2 hours, you got 12 hours left. In that 12 hours, how much are you going to do? You got your family time, you got your social time, you got work time. Now, if it just matters on how you prioritize this, so that you are living the life in pursuit of what you want to, and not what you're being told to. Right? So, for example, if I am in pursuit of professional success, then obviously I'm more inclined, out of these 12 hours, allocate maybe 60%, 70% of my time towards my work, right? But if I put family first, then I know that, okay, I do have to pay my bills still, so I'm still going to go to work, right? But then there's this other number of hours that I consciously want to dedicate towards my family because that's what I'm working for. Right? So if you reshift our perspectives, that's when we get to reset the second piece, which is our priorities. And once our priorities are reset to be more aligned to what we want, that allows us to be at greater peace with ourselves. And that draws, when we are at greater peace with ourselves, we are able to draw to us and attract to ourselves the right kind of the third P, which is the people. Because none of us are going to achieve anything that we want to achieve on our own. We need people to help us do that, right? So the third P is the people. So we want to get our perspectives to be reshifted, to be in line with what we really want, all right? And then we want to get our priorities reset to be aligned to our newfound purpose, all right? And then we want to get the right people who are going to help to share our priorities, be aligned with our priorities, so that they don't take us away from our priorities, but they empower our priorities, all right? Like I always say, you want to surround yourself with people who are not the shackles around your ankles, but the wings on your back, who are going to help you to soar, right? Who are going to lift you forward and not hold you down. So people are important. So the whole concept behind the life of Chi is to, how do we reset our perspectives? How do we reset our priorities, and how do we align and find the right kind of people around? How do we get more selective about who we hang out with? So that's basically what Life of Chi is about. So all for the one simple reason, so that at the end of the day, we feel like we are contented with the life that we are living. We can be happy, right? And we can be happy without a reason. Right? We don't have to keep asking for a reason to be happy all the time, because when you're in a state of satisfaction and contentment, when you're at peace with life and yourself and what you're doing, because it's alignment of what you think, do, and feel, then I think you can finally be happy. You don't have to keep searching for new reasons of happiness. You're just in a state of happiness all the time, a state of joy all the time.
So you've got your perception, priority, and your people. I was listening to you, and all that I could think was you being that 9-year-old child. Ice cream, chocolate, and how you went for it. Everything. You had your perception, you had your priority, and you had your people, and you were doing it at 9 years old, and you're now still doing it. Now, you've spoken about a lot of successes. You've looked at, you've been able to create, earn that income, that money. In these years where you've been working, doing whatever you've been doing, not just specifically work, failures. Have there been times where you've been struck by failure, and how did you pass through them? What did you do? What happened? Anything there?
So I got a very different idea when it comes to failures. I think the only time that you fail is in two situations. Number one is when you give up. Right? Because in life you're going to do a lot of things. And not everything is going to go your way. Right? One of the reasons why I said I've never failed is because I was okay with things not going my way. I was okay with letting things go their way, the way it happened. Everything takes its own course. Right? If you're doing an event, sometimes you visualize it to go in a certain way. But in the midst of planning the event, you got partners coming on board, you got vendors coming on board, you got stakeholders coming on board, and they kind of redirect a lot of elements within the event into certain directions that fits into their expectations. And if you want to hold healthy partnerships and relationships, you got to be a bit fluid and let that happen sometimes. But it also means it's going to deviate away from what your original vision was. Does that mean that my event is not a success anymore? Now, if I am rigid and I desperately just want to cling on to the original vision, then yes, my event will not be a success. In my head, in my perception. But if I say, hey, you know what, it's okay. It can be slightly different. It can accommodate more. We can make room for other people's, desires and intentions and vision as well. And it can be a fusion of everyone's expectation. And that way it becomes a bigger success. Because now it's no longer about only just my vision, but what I'm saying is coming together of so many other people's vision. And that becomes grander. It's again my perception. It's about how I respond. And suddenly I see it as a bigger success now instead of a failure. Right? So it's how you look at it, right? You're gonna let things flow. So of course things are not gonna go our way. Sometimes we fall short of our own expectations, sometimes we fall short of other people's expectations. But I say we fail in only two scenarios. Number one is when we give up. Right? When we say that, hey, you know what, I've just had a fall, I don't want to get up again. It's just too painful. I'm just too comfortable here. Having fallen is more comfortable than trying to walk. Right? And I give up. And that's when you fail. Because you have not given your all, you have not tried your best. You stopped short, you didn't see it to completion. right? So I've got this commitment that if I start something, I have to see it to completion, right? It may not go my way. I may not eventually be happy with who I'm working with. It might not be taking the shape and form that I had expected at the onset. Whatever it is, once the ship has sailed from port, I gotta see it to its next destination, right? And that's a commitment that I make, because I gotta see it to the end, right? So if you give up, you fail. The only other situation in which you fail, according to me, is when you don't even try, and that's the worst part, right? So not giving up is okay. You at least tried. You gave up, right? It's bad, but it's still not.
It's
bad.
when you're not even giving your
But it's when
attempt.
you're not even giving an attempt, and you're not even trying. When you have this idea, you have this dream, you have this inspiration, this aspiration, and you don't even try because you have shared this idea with somebody, and they say you're crazy. And like, okay, so
I'm
too many
crazy.
people telling me I'm crazy. Maybe I should not do it. Or it seems too big, and you're like, no, I don't have the resources for it. So you know what? Maybe I shouldn't do this because I don't know how to. But not knowing how to should not be the answer to not knowing how to should be to how can I? How do I learn this? Where do I go and find out more about it? How do I pick up the resources if I don't have the resources? It's about how to and not trying.
Okay.
Right? And a lot of people fall into the trap where they have these dreams and desires and these aspirations, and they don't try because for a multitude of reasons, either the people around them or their own self-esteem, or lack of resources, or perceived lack of resources. And I've spoken to so many people. I was running an incubator, for example. I had a lot of people who were coming up to me and saying, "Oh, I've got this business idea, I got that business idea, but I don't have the capital to do it." I'm like, "So what's stopping you?" They say, "Oh, I don't have the money." I said, "But why do you need money? You want to start an advertising agency, for example. Why do you need money? I mean, what's your skill set in advertising?" So I'm very good at language. I'm very good at copywriting. I said, "Okay, so what kind of capital do you need to be a copywriter for a start?" Right? I said, "Start small, break it up. Small steps. You don't have to get a full-fledged agency from day one. You don't have to have this grand office space, this grand office building with a staff of 5 in-house designers and web developers and IT folks and videographers and photographers. You don't have to have all of that. You can work in partnerships. You can tie up with other people, and you can have one thing that you are good at that you can do yourself for a start. All right? You're good at copywriting and offer copywriting services. You can work remotely. You don't need to have a grand office space. You can start small, but you build towards that rather than not even starting.
Build towards, yeah.
You build towards it. So there are only two ways that you fail: when you give up or you don't even try. Right? So that to me is failure. Have I encountered failures in my life? I'm pretty sure I did. I mean, I gave up on my ambition to do law. Right? I gave up, or I never even tried.
I think it was more like you wanted to talk.
Right? I found the next best. I reframed it. I still get to speak. I still get to speak. So yeah, I mean, I have, but I think reframing helps sometimes, right? If you find yourself in a situation where you really, really feel that you're pushed into a corner, where you don't see any light in the tunnel anymore, you don't see where it's going ahead, reframe yourself. Reframe the situation. Look at what can I still make the best out. How can I make the best out of this still? How can I still maximize leverage on this situation that I'm in? Like they say, right? If life throws at you cheese, you make cheese nuts. They don't say that. I say that.
you say that, which is fine. You talk about giving up, and one of the reasons you look at failure as you were talking about incident when you're doing events. Rather than giving up, you let go.
Yeah.
And accordingly, it's just not your success. That success expands across the whole people. How does one let go?
There are many different answers to that at many different levels, but let me give one at the most practical level. Again, we have been very conditioned as a society where if you want to do something, you got to have systems, processes, frameworks, timelines and templates set from the onset, or expectations set from the onset. And it's natural. I mean, when you go out there, you pitch to people ideas, but they want to know everything from day one.
Yes.
Where's the venue going to be? Who are the attendees going to be? What's the attendee profile going to be like? How many speakers are you going to have? What's the lineup going to be like? What's the sequence of the speakers? What's the programming like? Who are the sponsors? Who are the other partners? And if nobody wants to come on board without knowing all these answers, then where do you start? Because the reality is, you need to start somewhere. Right? The reality is also that a lot of times, a lot of the answers to these questions are anticipated ideals. They're not reality. There's no. Well, some people have turned it into a science where they know that they can get exactly what they say into the room. I don't deny those people their credit, but majority of the time, what you find in proposals are anticipated ideals. Right? I've been doing seminars for over a decade now. I've been doing workshops for over a decade now. Whenever you go into a room, it is never, the profile of people is never what you see on paper.
Yes.
Right? Hardly is it what you see on paper. Because you don't know, especially when you do public events, you don't know who's going to sign up. You don't know what age profile is going to be. You do not know what career backgrounds they're going to come from. Yeah, you can get all of that on your registration form. But then again, you only find out after people register. So at the onset, when you're planning your event, there's no way for you to be sure. Unless you are very strict about it and say, hey, this is a medical conference and only doctors are allowed to be there. That's fair, but that's very specific. Right? But in a lot of generic mass events, it's hardly the case. Right? We see a very mixed profile. Event to event, the profile keeps changing. Logistics. Something always goes wrong. Either your clicker is not working, your slide is not working, your laptop suddenly goes a dead battery, some seat gets broken, there's too much sitting, there's insufficient sitting, the lights don't come on at the time they're supposed to come on. Many things can happen. You can rehearse, but on D-Day, something is still going to go wrong. So when you can come to terms and accept that the event is going to take its own life and form, or any project, any task, any assignment, anything that you do is going to take its own life and form. Because remember, there's only one constant in all of this, and that's you. Everything else is a high variable. Your stakeholders' mood is a high variable. You are working great with them today because they're in a great mood. You do not know what happens at their home tomorrow morning. Right? You didn't get a good cup of coffee in the morning. Right? If their kid pooped on their lap before they were leaving home, they suddenly don't feel great on that morning. They come and they start taking their angst out on you. It's not going to be a great working relationship for that day. Right? So you never know what's going to happen. Everything is volatile and variable when you're working with other people in other scenarios because it's not within your control. Right? It's not in your hands. The weather is not in your hands. The transport system is not in your control. If there's a train delay, everybody comes out late. That pushes your program back half an hour, 45 minutes because you don't have enough people to kick off the program yet.
Yes.
Right? Your printing company suddenly had a machine jam, and so your material is not coming in on time. So that delays something. Many things can go wrong. So when you come to accept that whatever has to go wrong will go wrong, and not everything is in your control, it makes it a lot easier to just let go. Because then you say, let it take its own life. Let it grow into whatever it's meant to grow, and you play the role of a facilitator. You're no longer the person that's steering it, you're just facilitating. Right? You're just the guy who is allowing the things to happen. Right? Because if you're just bridging the need for material together with a printer, you're bridging the need for artwork with a designer, you become the facilitator. Right? But you empower and you entrust the people that you're working with and also the energies around you to drive your tasks, to drive your projects in the direction they're supposed to go to. And that way everybody comes aboard. It becomes a collective effort. Everyone feels entrusted, empowered. They feel like they have a partial ownership of what you're doing. They feel invested into it. And therefore they put in the extra effort. They put in the extra 10, 15, 20%. Right? But if you want to own everything, if you want credit for everything, if it's for your own personal glory, your own personal honor, then people are going to say it's about you. Then why should I put in my extra 15% for you? But when you make it about them, then they're going to feel like, hey, okay, this is my event. I'm a part of this. I got something to gain from this. I can leverage from this. Let me give my extra 15% so I get 15% greater outcome from it as well. Right? You just empower people with that. Okay. So when you let go and you distribute that ownership to the people around you, things becomes a whole lot easier. At the same time, it becomes a whole lot more human. Right? It's not so mechanical anymore.
So, people who are running businesses or people who are new into running their own business, one of the things which happens is they need to go and sell.
Yeah.
And you've been selling from a long time.
Yeah.
And as you are aware, and I'm aware as well, we get a lot of rejections as well on the way.
Yeah.
And there are times when rejections after rejections after
Yeah.
rejections after rejection after rejections keep on happening. How does one manage that? Because, 1 year could be going really well and suddenly, boom.
Yeah.
How in your years of experience, what would you consult people out there? How do you manage those situations?
It's easy. How hungry are you?
Okay.
If you need food on your table and you go into shop one and you say, I need a loaf of bread, and they say no to you, what do? Do you give up? You're hungry? Or let's say your child is hungry, what do? You have a 2-year-old, 3-year-old that's hungry, they need to eat something, their nourishment is important, they have not had food in 7 days. Right? They are desperately hungry. What do you do as a parent? Do you give up after one shop? You go into the second shop, they say no, what do? Do you give up? Or you go into the third shop, do you give up? People who give up, they give up because they've got options. Right? If you don't have an option, what do?
Keep on striving.
You keep on striving, you keep going. So it's a matter of how invested are you in your business? How passionate are you about your business? What's fueling your business? Is it money? Because if it's money, then give up. Because if you're getting rejection after rejections, it's opportunity cost, you could be doing something else and making money. But if you're in your business because you want to add value, because you believe in it, because it's something that nourishes your soul, right? It's something that you genuinely want to do, then there's no giving up.
Okay.
Right? So it's about knowing why you're in it, because that would help you to determine what's your next step forward. Right? If your intention is money, I'll be the first person to tell you as a consultant, get out. Right? If for 3 months you have not had any cent coming in, get out, do something else, because that's opportunity cost. And that's expensive. Because you can very well be doing something else and making better money from it. But if you are in this because you believe in it, because you want to change the world, you want to change society, you want to leave a legacy, you want to leave a footprint, and you truly believe that your business is the vehicle through which you can do that, then you keep striving, because that's what you got to be hungry for it, right? The greatest inspiration to draw from when it comes to never giving up, and in fact to use your losses, use your setbacks as fuel to push you harder, are gamblers.
Okay.
Right? You go to a casino, what happens when a gambler loses money? They place a bigger bet on the next one. They lose all of that. They borrow money from someone else and they place an even bigger bet. Right? I'm not saying go out and have a gamble. But if you apply the same idea, that every time I get a rejection, I'm going to go back in with a bigger idea, a bigger proposal, a bigger pitch, something grander, something greater. I'm going to keep building it to a point that is too irresistible for them to say no, that you never say no. Because after a while you start understanding why are they saying no. Right? Because if you're listening, you're observing, you're looking, and you're developing patterns, eventually you know what they're looking for. Are they rejecting me because they don't see value in what I'm offering? Or is it because it's too expensive? Or is it because they don't trust my skill sets? Because once I know why they're rejecting me, I know what to fix, I know what to calibrate and put it back to them again and say, hey, you said my skill sets are not good enough, I'm sorry, but this is everything I've got to prove that you can trust me. Right? Or you're saying that it's not expensive, it's too expensive. Well, I did a bit of background, I did a bit of homework, and I realized that you've paid other vendors more than what I proposed you, so it cannot be the price tag. So tell me, what is it exactly? And then they'll tell you, oh, we don't see the value being justified. Okay, I'll tell you what, let me up the value for you again. Right? So when you watch the patterns, when you talk to people enough, you kind of see a trend, and you kind of understand what is it that you need to fix in your offering, in your pitch, in your proposals, so that it becomes hard for them to say no. And why would somebody say no to you? If you're offering a solution to their pains, they're not going to say no to you, right? It's all part of a bargaining process, right? So you gotta stick at it. When someone says no, ask why. When someone says no again, ask why again. You right? Keep asking that until they run out of excuses, and you run out of excuses not to have a solution, because you have to have a solution.
Okay. Interesting. So you used a very interesting phrase while you were talking. Nourishing the soul. You're running a business. Which usually people see in terms of income, in terms of profit. What has it got to do with the soul? It's like for some people that's just pure mumbo jumbo. Why nourishing the soul is?
Well, let's replace the word soul with you.
Okay.
The word you, right? It's about nourishing yourself.
Okay.
Right? Now, how do you nourish yourself?
Nutrients, food,
lifestyle,
yeah.
pleasures,
Yep.
right? That's how you nourish yourself. So let's replace the word soul with all of that. But your business still serves a bigger purpose than just being a vehicle for income, right? In fact, the income is fuel for your business,
Okay.
right? Money is just the fuel, right? It's like your business is the car, money is the fuel that drives the car,
Okay.
right? Money is not the ends or the means, but you're going to use that money for something else. So what are you using that money for?
Okay.
Right? Some people find great satisfaction using the money to go and build villages in underdeveloped countries, and that makes them feel happy. That brings joy to them, and that's what becomes their life mission. Right? For some people, it's about just putting food on the family's table. That's okay. Right? That's also good. For some of them, they like the high life. Right? They love the 6-star hotels. They like the jet setting. They like the expensive limos. They like the flashy clothes. Then that's what you're using the money for. But know what you want from that business. Know what you eventually want to use that money for, because that's what's going to keep you going. Because if you like that limo, you're going to pay the installments of that limo, right?
Yeah.
You got to keep at it. If you give up on the business, you're not going to go very far in that limo, are you? Right? The limo is not going to leave your garage. So you want to keep at your business. You want to keep overcoming those rejections so that that limo gets to get out of the garage, right? You want to put food on the table. You got to make sure you keep all your business so you got the next meal for your family. Right? You want it to build a village. If you adopt a village in an underdeveloped country, you got to make sure you keep it in your business so you can keep sustaining that village out there. But whatever it is a responsibility to yourself and to whoever else you're running the business for, and that includes your partners, your stakeholders, your employees. Right? It's a responsibility that you have towards them. You have to take care of them, right? Because that's what it means to be a businessman.
Again, you're speaking to me, and all I'm seeing is that 9-year-old Rahul and the ice cream and the chocolate.
You gotta have your target set. You gotta know what
it's
you're
all
doing.
set. That's my purpose. That's the focus. That's what it is. As we're going to close this interview now, anything else you would like to share with the listeners, with the viewers, so they can make their life a wonderful one for themselves, or even a better one than what they want at the moment? What would you tell them?
I think define your happiness. Pause, take a break. Just enjoy moments of silence. To be with yourself. As painful as it may be for some people, I think it's important in the kind of society that we live in, where it's a hybrid of connected, disconnected. Right? With social media, we're extremely connected, but heart to heart, people are getting increasingly disconnected. I think it's important for us to reconnect with ourselves. Take a moment, enjoy the silent moments with yourselves, and in that silent moment, just reflect upon one thing: what makes me happy. And just pause. Those moments of pauses to define your happiness, because eventually that's all we want. All that we are in pursuit of really is the moments of joy. And the more lasting our moments of joy can be, the lesser we'll feel the need to stay in pursuit of things. We'll be able to enjoy our harvest a whole lot more. And a lot of people don't do that. We are just like, there's this scene from the time when I was studying at the railway station in Mumbai always keeps hitting me. Where you don't have to even climb to get into the train. You just stand at the edge of the platform and people behind you will just push you in. And that imagery has always stuck with me, because that's what a lot of us are like. If you think about it, we don't have much control over our lives. What time we leave home every morning is decided by the time that we have to get to work. Yes. So our employer decides what time we wake up. Right? We reach the bus stop, and we don't have a choice as to what time we want to leave for work. The bus timings are already set, and that determines what time we are getting onto a bus. And we are just like this machinery, right? Where we are picked up from a location and we are dropped off at a location. We go to work, and the bell rings at work. We don't have a physical bell anymore, but the alarm clock or the watch or the time or whatever it is. And we move out, and again a bus comes and drops us back home, right? And everything is like a system. It's a conveyor belt. And if we think about it, we don't have to do much. We just have to be at the right place to be picked up and the right place to be dropped off. and we're not consciously living our lives. Although in principle it's so simple. All we want is to be happy. So if we can just take a moment to define our own happiness, I think it'll set a lot of things in perspective. All right, it'll help us to determine how much you want to work, how much money I need to make, how much savings I need to have. Where do I want to spend my time? Who do I want to spend it with? And how do I want to spend it with those people? And that's all we need sometimes. We don't need a lot. We are our ancestors lived off simple fruits from the tree. They didn't need much to survive then. We don't need much to survive now. It's just that the material success that we see around us a lot of times takes us away from what the essence of living is really all about. So I'm not saying that we should all become monks, right? But what I'm saying is we can definitely adopt a lot of the principles from that monks live by and integrate into our lives so that our lives become less painful.
Thank you so much, Rahul. Really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
man.
Thank you.